Hood exit exhausts are something that tempt a lot of people in the car world. A lot of people think they look really cool, a lot of people actually think they sound really cool, and some people think that you can make really big power with this type of exhaust. So as you can see, I have one here on my Turbo Miata project, 2 broke, 2 boosted, and I ran it like that for a little bit, and I'm going to get into why in this video, but since I've lived with that hood exit exhaust for a little bit, I wanted to make a pros and cons video to go over why you might want to run a hood exit exhaust and why you might not want to. So with that said, let's get into it and let's start out with the pros. First things first, and this is the main reason that I built this hood dump on my car, is a hood exit exhaust is very easy to make. Obviously, there's not a lot of pipe that goes into it. It's a pretty small piece compared to a full exhaust system. And if you're welding this thing yourself, it's not going to take a lot of time, gas, or wire. And if you're having someone make it, there's a lot less welding than if they were to do a full exhaust. So ease of making one of these things is really great compared to a full exhaust. The next thing that comes along with ease of manufacturing is price. Building a hood dump is a lot cheaper than building a full exhaust because once again, you don't really need that much material. You only need a short pipe, and I know a lot of people that run hood dumps only have short pipes. Since you don't need a lot of material here, it's not going to cost a lot, and really I made my whole entire hood dump for right around $25, and I have 8 feet of straight exhaust pipe left over. So price on these things is extremely cheap compared to a full exhaust. The next thing that's actually good about a hood dump exhaust is the weight. So obviously with such a small amount of material, you don't have a very heavy exhaust on your car. If you build a hood dump, you basically don't need any other exhaust pipe anywhere on your car because it's just coming right out the hood. Now, I don't know exactly how much that thing weighs, but I would guess probably like between 5 and 10 pounds. And if you have a full exhaust system, it could weigh a lot more than that. So you do save some weight by building a hood dump, but there are some downsides which I'm going to get into soon. The final pro on my list is the reason why drag racers sometimes use hood dumps and the reason why street racers sometimes use hood dumps. And that reason is that these super short exhaust pipes really don't give you any exhaust restriction and really not a lot of back pressure. Now, if you have a naturally aspirated car and you're running something with this little back pressure, you might end up losing power, but I'm not going to get into the science of that in this video. However, if you have a turbocharged car like my Miata here, lower back pressure means you could get more air out of the system faster, which means you'll be able to make more power with your engine. So in some cases, you are able to make more power with a hood dump than you would be with a restrictive full exhaust system. So that's basically all of the good that I could think of for a hood dump exhaust after running one for a while. If you have other things that you think are good about a hood dump exhaust that I didn't mention, leave them down below. I'm curious to hear what you think. And after that list of pros, we could get into a slightly longer list of cons. Now, the first thing that I really don't like about the hood dump exhaust is it is absolutely obnoxiously loud. Now, when you get on the gas, the exhaust is coming right in front of you and you really hear that, and it's extremely loud. It's ear-piercing for people in the car, and everyone you drive by is gonna know you have a hood dump on your car, and it is really just super high volume. It's not stealth at all, and for a lot of people that could be considered a pro, but in my opinion, the noise that comes out of one of these things is a con. Next up, if you're running a hood exit exhaust with a hood, you do need to cut a hole in your hood. Now, this isn't a big deal. It's easy enough to cut a hole in your hood, but if you ever decide that you no longer want to run a hood dump exhaust, you're going to end up with a hole in your hood that's going to be a pain to repair, or you're just going to need to buy a whole new hood. So you do have to permanently modify your hood, which could be a downside if you only plan on running one of these things temporarily, and if you don't want to run it with no hood like I have been on my car. Next up, we have something that I sort of tried to mitigate with my hood dump design, and that is that running a super short hood dump means you might not get very good air-fuel ratio readings, which means your tune is pretty much going to be crap and it's going to be hard to tune the car. Now, with that said, if you run a really long pipe like this, you could get semi-decent readings, but it's not going to be as good as if you had a full exhaust with a lot of length behind that sensor. And the reason for that is on a short hood dump, you have just clean air right above the exhaust, and that could interfere with the sensor and tell you that you're running a lot more lean than you actually are. This makes tuning hard, and really it could create a big problem when you're trying to work on a car with a hood dump. Next up, we have one of the biggest reasons to not run a hood dump, and that is it could be a safety concern. If you have a car like this that's a convertible and you run it with the top down, you're dumping out all of your poisonous exhaust gases in front of the car, sucking them into the cabin, and then the driver and the passengers are going to be breathing that. You really don't want to be doing that, and it's a pretty good reason not to run a hood dump. Also, you could drive with your windows closed, and if you have a convertible, just keep the top up, but really it's not a great idea, and fumes still could find their way into your car. Along with all those fumes that come out of the exhaust comes all the extra crap and unburnt fuel that comes out of the exhaust. If you run really rich, you could get a little bit of soot and fuel residue, and that's going to end up all over the front of your car, all over your windshield, all over your hood, and it's going to require a lot more cleaning, or you could just live with it and have a dirty car. But that's something to consider if you're going to run one of these things. Next up is rain. Now, if it rains and you have a hood dump exhaust, all that rain is going to go straight down into your turbo and start rusting the thing from the inside out, and it could also damage your manifold and your engine depending on what the situation is. Now, obviously, there are fixes for that, like running a tractor flap or something like that, but what a lot of people don't consider is if you have one of these exhaust pipes on your car and someone that thinks you're being a real asshole driving around with one of those exhaust pipes doesn't like it, they could put debris in there, they could put rocks, garbage, and other crap in there that's going to end up hurting your car, and it's super easy for haters to do that. So keep that in mind if you're going to run one of these. And finally, last on the cons list is if you have an exhaust like this, you're going to be making lots of noise. It's going to be very obvious that you're driving around with one of these. If you have a stack like this, it's visibly obvious, and you're going to have a much higher chance of getting ticketed. Now, these tickets could be for being too loud with your exhaust, running a exhaust out the hood, which in some places could be illegal, or in my case, I mean, I don't have a hood and the exhaust comes straight out of where the hood would be, and that's just a really big attention grabber. And if you're already doing stuff that's sort of stupid, with something like this, you're just going to draw way more attention to yourself and have the potential to get tickets and in big trouble. And so guys, that is going to wrap up this pros and cons list on running a hood exit exhaust. I have to say, I had a ton of fun running my hood exit exhaust. It does make a lot of noise, but for a short amount of time, it is pretty fun to do that. It looks absolutely hilarious, and all in all, I'm pretty happy that I did it. With that said, the cons definitely outweigh the pros for me, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this exhaust on my Turbo Miata project, do it right, make it a little bit quieter, and have all the fumes and crap coming out of my car exit at the back. And then for my case, I'm gonna be happier. So let me know if there are any pros and cons that you think I missed on this list. If you want to check out my Turbo Miata build, 2 broke 2 boosted, definitely check it out on my channel. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe for more, and I hope you stick around for the next one. Take care.